How's it going, everyone? My name is Emile. I'm with Racette Consulting, and today I want to talk about safe searches. I recently had a couple different meetings with a client of mine where they described some fairly unique use cases or some pretty unique requirements for a report. The best way I know how to solve the specific requirements was by creating safe searches. So more specifically for our video or our demo today, I want to talk about 3 different safe searches that I configured and created in NetSuite. I'll walk you through establishing the criteria, the results, as well as how the specific data meets the requirements that the client was asking for. So without further ado, let me share my screen. Perfect. And let's just hop right into it. So I have 3 different safe searches. The first one is what I call a sales order to invoice safe search. So fairly basic requirement here. What was needed is a list of results of all the sales orders that were ready to be invoiced. Their specific business process was that the sales order is ready to be invoiced or billed as soon as the pick ticket is printed for it. And internally within their warehouse, their process is someone prints the pick tickets, they review the list of sales orders, they print the specific pick tickets, and they walk over to the warehouse and hand the pick tickets. So from a billing operations perspective, a user wanted to be alerted and have the ability to view the list of sales orders where the pick ticket had been printed, right? As soon as it's been printed, it's now ready to be invoiced. So this list of safe searches will basically look for that printed pick ticket field within system notes and look for it to be changed. So let me show you how I did that. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this search. You'll notice up here at the top, fairly standard safe search configuration. I basically checked public so that everyone can see it. If you have access to see sales orders, so I want it to be available as a dashboard view. Don't really care about a sublist right now, and I do want it to be available for reminders so that I can put it on my portlets, my reminders portlets on the dashboard. So let's talk about the criteria. So like I said, we're establishing a criteria for sales orders that are ready to be invoiced. So on my type, I only want to see transaction types that are sales orders. And this is, just scroll up, this is a transaction safe search. So I only want to see sales orders. I also want to be very specific on my status because that also drives when a sales order is ready to be invoiced. So I don't want to see any sales orders that are in pending approval because I don't care about those. I basically only want to see sales orders that are pending billing or pending billing and partially fulfilled. So fill in your own criteria there for statuses. And this is where things get a little interesting. So the specific field that I'm looking for, again, the criteria is I want to see only sales orders where the pick ticket has been printed. On the sales order, NetSuite keeps track of the first time that the pick ticket has been printed. I'll show you that field here in just a second. But the field that I'm looking for, it's called printed picking ticket. And that is found within the system notes subtab of my transaction. And so the way that I found it, if you scroll down here and go to your joins and find system notes fields, and I was able to find here my field. So it's not the most intuitive when you're searching through system notes fields. Basically, what you want to do is establish the field that you want to look at. So again, I'm saying printed pick ticket is my field. And I want my new value to start with T, which also stands for true. It's just a simple Boolean field there on the system notes field. So basically what I'm saying is I want a result to appear when the printed pig ticket is changed from false to true. So the new value I want it to look for is true. And then mainline is true. So I only want to look at the header level of the transaction. My results, fairly standard, kept it very simple here. And that's essentially all that I've set. So it thinks I'm trying to establish a criteria here. I'm not, so I'll just hit cancel. So again, we only really have 2 hits here in our results, which is fine. So last thing I want to show you on this one is the field. So again, under system information, and you'll see that this morning, I changed my field for printed picking ticket from false to true. And so it is now appearing in my results. All right, so that's it for that one. Fairly simple, but you can always go through if you're looking for, if the criteria for your own billing operations is different, you can always look through the system notes fields. It's a very powerful way to look through field changes. All right, so that's the first one that I wanted to share. The second one is orders that have more than 10 lines. So in the specific industry that this client is in, right, is more the products industry. They want to be notified and they want to keep tabs on any orders that have potentially more than 10 lines. So it sounds like a fairly simple criteria, and a safe search really is the best way to identify those sales orders. Their specific reason was they were worried about potentially competitors getting a bunch of their products in a sample, so just one quantity of each product. And they were worried about them potentially copying their models or their products. So that's what the criteria was. And so what we're seeing here is 2 fields essentially on my columns. And it's a very, the results are very simple, basically per sales order, again, per document number here. All I'm seeing is a count of the number of lines on that sales order. So let me show you how we accomplish this. In my criteria, again, very simple. My type is sales orders. Those are the transactions I want to look at. And then I'm saying mainline is false. So what that means is I want the safe search to look at the line items on my transaction. The reason I want it to do this is because I'm trying to count those lines. So I need to make sure I'm setting my main line to false. Tax line is false as well. I don't want to see the tax line. If I put this to true, it's going to appear an extra line for my tax. I don't care about tax right now. I only want to see products. And same thing with my shipping line. I don't want to see a line for my shipping cost. I only care about products. And then if I go to my summary here, so this is something that is not used as often as my standard criteria. So in my summary, I have the ability to establish my criteria on a summary level. So if you noticed when the results appeared, I only saw the count for line IDs that were greater than 10. The way that I establish this is by setting my criteria here in my summary sublist. So I say summary type is going to be count. Line ID, so I'm counting each one of my line IDs, and I only want the result to appear if there's greater than 10 line IDs. And so that's why, once I show you again, so we only see the counts of 10 or more here. So we have 4 results, 4 different sales orders that have 10 or more lines on them. And we can verify this by clicking into each one of them. And you'll notice there's a ton of different lines here. So more than 10, right? And so again, the way that I establish this criteria is by establishing my summary criteria here. And then in my results, again, we only saw 2 different columns. One is on document number, the other one is on line ID. The way that I establish those 2 columns is by using my summary type. And so what I'm saying here is I want to group on document number. So basically each line that has the same document number is going to be grouped on one line. And my line ID on my second column to the right, as we saw, is going to be a count. So for each unique line ID, again, NetSuite establishes line IDs going from 0 all the way up, incremental. It's going to count my unique IDs. And so again, fairly simple ask, but requires 2 or 3 extra steps on establishing my safe search. All right. And so that is the second one, is using and the highlight there is really using my summary criteria and my summary group and count on my results. All right. And then the third safe search I want to share is the orders with $0 results. So this one is fairly unique in the way that I need to look at, let me pull it up here. I need to look at my, let's go into the criteria. And you'll notice that I'm establishing over here in my case formula, I'm basically going from the bottom up. So NetSuite has this subtotal field in the summary box, which unfortunately is not accessible in my results field, at least from a saved search perspective. And this is documented in Suite Answers, but essentially the way that you back into this number is taking the total and basically going up, right, and backing into this subtotal field. So this safe search is essentially the requirement truly is to back into this subtotal field. The way that you do that is you take your total and you subtract the tax total as well as the discount, if any. You see that I don't currently have that on, as well as the shipping total. So in this specific demo environment, I don't have those fields showing. In yours, you might see more than just subtotal and tax total. And so in my criteria, again, I'm looking at type is sales order. I don't care. Main line is going to be false, so I want to see my lines. Shipping line is false, and then the date is within this month. And then the case formula is where I think this safe search shines. And so what I'm saying here is this is a case formula. So just a fairly simple SQL function that we can do within safe searches in NetSuite. And what I'm saying is I'm starting from the bottom. The way you can think of it is I'm starting from the bottom and I'm backing into my subtotal, because again, we cannot find the subtotal field, right? It's not a field here that's accessible. So let me go back to my criteria. So what I'm saying is amount minus shipping costs minus tax total minus discount, right? And then give me that subtotal, essentially. So I'm backing into the number. The case formula, let me pull it up here. Essentially what this case formula is doing is it's saying, and this null value basically just prevents an error from happening. And so in this case, I'm saying amount minus shipping cost minus tax total. What I'm saying is if the result of this side of the formula is 0, then bring me back a 1, right? Because again, the criteria for this safe search is I want to identify safe searches that have a $0 subtotal, which would essentially mean that someone got away with putting a $0 order on the website, as an example. So what this formula is saying is if the subtotal is 0, then provide a 1. So provide an integer of 1. If it is not 0, provide 0. And my formula numeric here is equal to 1 because, again, I'm setting this as the criteria. So when the result of this side of the formula is 0, then 1. And then I'm saying only make it appear in my criteria if it's a 1. And so that's kind of how safe searches work there. And then in my results, fairly simple. I just have fairly standard transaction fields up here. My amount field, and then I pulled back my shipping cost field. I found this is a simple way here. So I just said formula currency and then found the field for shipping cost. And you'll notice I put these labels here in my custom label columns. And then I just wanted to make sure that the result was truly 0. So I just copied and pasted the same formula here, just without the case formula. You typically want to use your case formula in your criteria when you're establishing it. And then in my last subtotal column here, you'll notice this is just a sanity check to make sure that the subtotal truly is 0 in this case. So that's it for today. Let me know if this has been helpful. We'll be doing a lot more safe searches videos. Just thought that I would share these 3 different safe searches criteria and explain them so that it may be helpful to you as well. I'm Emile with Saux-Racette Consulting. Thank you guys so much.